excited. We have Wes Rains on the call with us today. I'm going to introduce him in just a moment. Our topic is coachability, consistency, and confidence, the three C's of long-term lasting success. So I'm going to stop sharing. That all being said, Wes, do I got you with me?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you doing, Wes?
Doing great. Marisa, how are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you for asking. All right. And just to get started, Wes, I want to just introduce you in my way, and then I'm going to, of course, let you introduce yourself in your own way. But guys, for those of you maybe who haven't had the chance to meet Wes, Wes is somebody who, when I met, not only was I like, he's super nice and I didn't know him that much at the time, but like he's super nice. He's easy to talk to. He is willing to give feedback. He's always willing to help. And like that just speaks volumes about somebody. But above that, he's been around sales for over a decade. So if you have not been around sales, you're on the best call tonight. So Wes, how are you doing tonight?
Doing awesome. Really, honored to be here and grateful you're the host. Thanks for all this.
Absolutely. Well, I'm super excited to have you on with us, Wes. And Wes, for those folks out there who maybe haven't had the chance to meet you, tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of what you were doing prior to insurance, what got you into insurance, and why Family First Life.
Yeah, so a Family First Life, I've been in the industry about 16 years, and I was really grateful when I met Trey Honeycutt. Um, give you guys a background on me. I was a captive agent with Cigna Supplemental for 10 years. I was their number one agent for 7 of those 10 years. After that, my daughter was born, and so I decided, driving around that much, I needed to do something different. So I separated from Cigna. That was 2018, and became an independent broker, and then I actually put insurance on the back burner a little bit and decided to do some consultation work, worked with the hospital. In 2022, I got back into insurance full time, and I was the number one rookie with that IMO. I did 400,000 in 6 months. And then I saw Trey Honeycutt on stage, and I was confident in my ability to sell insurance, but I came from a former group that, the guy had been in the industry for 40 years and he only had 4 agents total. So I knew that something was limited there. I saw Trey up on stage and he was coaching a young lady, an agent in the first row on team building. And I noticed that he was coaching the same way that I sell, which is just keeping positive momentum, always moving forward. And that's actually something I was going to talk to y'all about tonight. But when I saw him, it clicked. I said, man, I really need to work with him. So at the time I was with a different IMO, and then I kind of stalked Trey a little bit. I remember at different groups, like different events, I'd always try to like get by him and introduce myself. I sent him my resume, which any of you who've already built a team know that that's really funny, because in this industry that's not what you do, you know. But I really wanted to work with Trey really bad. So anyway, fast forward, and just to give y'all a little bit of information on my production, I don't like to talk about numbers because I think they really speak for themselves. But I've done 50,000 in a week, 3 or 4 times. I've done 100,000 in a month, at least 3 times. Recently, in the last couple months, I did 300. We did 300,000 in 10 days, and I did 100,000 in one day. And I would say that all of that production comes from, a lot of the topics that I was going to discuss with y'all tonight, which is, staying positive, focusing on the positive, keeping the momentum moving in your direction, and yeah. So, but I'll let you take it back, Marisa, and kind of let me know any questions that you want to start out with, or however you'd like to go.
Yeah, no doubt. So I think that honestly, numbers do numbers speak for themselves, but it's like you got to know who you're in front of, guys. Like, did we all just hear that? Like Wes said, he sold 50K in a week over 6 or 7 times, 100K in a month 4 times, 300K in 10 days, and 100K in one day. And then I want to add this in because you told me this, Wes. You collected 122 applications for coverage in that 10 days, right? Guys, that's
Yes.
not luck. Okay, just so we're all on the same page. That's not luck. That's great hard work and a positive mindset working in the right direction. Now, Wes, you kind of opened it up, but I love how you talked about what attracted you to Trey, right? You said the way that he was teaching folks how to recruit is how I sell. And you were like, I kind of like Facebook stalked him or, like social media stalked him, which like I think that like everyone does that. It's like the common resume. And you shot your resume over to him and like, in all seriousness, Wes, let's take a beat right now. Why do you think you shot Trey your resume?
Because I know that I had a lot of experience and I really wanted to make a difference. I wanted to make an impact in his and on his team. You know what I mean? I really wanted to show up for him. And I saw it as a keen opportunity. I don't know everybody on the call. I don't know, your history and everything, but if you've been in sales, then you recognize that there's no limit to how much you can produce. The only limitation I've experienced, and I've been in sales for 20 years, but the only limitation I've learned to exist in sales is when you have a leader that you don't align with value wise, it can really cap your production. And that's what happened to me in that former IMO that I did 400,000 in 6 months. I didn't align with my leader, but Sean, Mike, and Trey Honeycutt, world class leaders. And I tell you, it's great because I heard Sean on a call earlier today. And then Trey mentioned Sean said something that I always tell people, which is there's no cap to this business. And I love that. But the point is that when you align with a leader that you can trust and you believe in, then that's where you go all in. And that's what I saw in Trey. And so it's just been, I mean, I've been so grateful to work with him. And that talks about one of the titles that you had for the team call tonight was coachability. And that's something that I buy in with. So Trey's been to I think 26 lock-ins throughout the year, and I want to say I've maybe been about half of those. So I try to go to as many as possible. His admin actually was joking, and she said that I've seen more of Trey in the last few months than they have who work in his own office. But that's just a testament to my coachability. No matter how much experience you have, for me, I will learn something from a brand new agent. I will learn something from an experienced agent. I'm always in this to learn more and get better. And that's why I love this business is because it's a pursuit of excellence. If you talk to anybody that's been in the industry for a long time, you'll learn that the ones that do really well are the ones that you can tell are always trying to get better every time, every step of the way. There's a woman, Galen Hendricks. She's an integrity partner. And I remember when I first met her, actually come to find out we had met before when I was a captive agent with Cigna. But when I saw her again after those 10 years, I complimented her and I told her, I was like, I can tell you've been in the business a long time, but I can even tell that you have tried to get better every year that you've been in the business because you can tell that about people, you know?
Absolutely. And you're right. And that's like a huge testament because Wes, we see it every day. And like, guys, I'm not calling anybody out, but like, you know, people will come in, you'll do well, you'll have a $30,000 month and you'll think like, I don't need no help. And like, like I'm self-made and, whatever. And like, guys, I want everybody to make a lot of money, but what Wes is saying is you can do a flash in the pan. You can make a lot of money really quick, but then you can lose it because you don't have the coachability to keep up with what's going on. You're not evolving, you're not changing, you're not making things better, right? So, to your point, coachability essentially is a pursuit of excellence. I would wholeheartedly agree with that. And I love how you said you've been to like about half those lock ins, right? But like you said, it does truly attest to what you're doing. It's like, Wes, you're not just showing up and hoping things go right. You're showing up with the plan, right? Like you're intentionally asking questions. You're intentionally getting feedback. You don't care if the person started yesterday or if they've been doing sales for 50 years. It doesn't matter to you. Because the best thing and the worst thing about sales, depending on who you are and where you can leave your ego, which is typically at the door, for the long term, if we will, is it's up to you. But it's up to you and how are you going to treat the other people around you? Because when it's just about you, it can quickly die down and you can quickly think that you're doing amazing and then it all falls down really fast. Even in like my first couple of years, Wes, to your point, like I still get feedback till this day because there's still things I can do better 100% across the board in the industry. It doesn't matter how much I've written. It doesn't matter how many people I recruit. There's so many things we can always be getting better at. And I've seen that in you. It's almost like, Wes, if someone didn't know you, like before, like at the lock-ins, right? They would almost think like you're brand new because you're like a sponge, right? What do you think kind of holds people back from getting or staying coachable, in your opinion? Like, what are the biggest things you've seen hold salespeople back from staying coachable?
I think honestly, that's a great question, Marisa. I think ego is probably the biggest thing. You know, especially people that have some experience, they get into the business and they think they know better than everybody else. But the truth of the matter is anybody that you find with immense success in this industry, they all are egoless. You know what I mean? They're in this and they're trying to get better and learn more every day. Um, I like this quote I got from a guy. So back when I first started in insurance, is about 2009. I was on a cross country flight next to a guy. He was a real estate guru, and I asked him all his success. Did he have any quotes that really stood out to him? He said his favorite quote was, "You can determine the size of a man's goal by the size of the obstacle that kept them from achieving it." And so that really resonated with me and made a lot of sense to me. One of the things that I really aligned with Trey on is the momentum, right? And that's what even just at this last lock-in I was at in Orlando, there's a new agent. His name is Caleb. Um, and I like that in his presentation when he was going through a mock call with another agent, he didn't break, he didn't budge at all with all the objections they were throwing at him. And that's the same way Trey is with building and recruiting. You'll notice like people can throw stuff at him and he just keeps going, builds the momentum. And in fact, anybody who knows me knows that I wouldn't have done this call of service if I didn't mention my favorite quote, which is from Napoleon Hill. And it's, in every failure or setback lies in it an equal or greater opportunity for success.
Mm.
So all the things that I've said right now, I want us to take that and plug it into this quote and see how it all is one. Because like I tell you, my daughter, she's 7 years old. Okay. And she just competed in nationals horseback riding. I'm really proud of her. And I'll tell you, two of the coaches approached me and they said to me what meant more to me than the place that she won. But they said that she stood by the gate waiting for the other rider, waiting for her class to compete. And every single rider that came off, she congratulated them and told them how great of a job they did. And to me, I was so proud because that's the same essence that Trey and I have in all that we do. Like I have a wellness coach and he asked me if I was preparing for competitions. And I said, you know what? I don't think it's a competition you're thinking about. Every day, though, I compete for myself against myself. And Marisa, actually, your quote that you had in an interview I just saw when you're talking about learning this industry was commission only and how you were okay with that because it's me versus me. It's funny
Yeah.
because reflecting on you in that interview actually reminded me of me and my sentiment and things I've said in the past, So that's like a year and a half ago, I told that wellness coach, I was like, yeah, I compete every day for me against me, not for other people. It's like I tell my buddies at the gym, I quit lifting weights for other people a long, long time ago. You know what I mean? I'm in here lifting weights for me, you know? But it's the same thing. It's all the same sentiment that Trey and I share that I'm trying to teach my daughter, which is like bring other people up. We're not competing with other people. We're competing with ourselves. And my goal in life is very simple. I want to get better every day and I want to surround myself with good people. That's it. That's it. Um,
And from that, so many great things will come, right? Like, and they have. And I love how you said that. Like, it's about you. It's you versus you. When you make it about, anybody else, or you make it about you, the comparison complex, negative things typically tend to start happening. You can go down a really negative rabbit hole in sales really, really quickly, right? So to your point in staying coachable, you got to stay consistent, right? We're going to hit on those three C's, right? Now, consistency. Consistency is what I just heard when you opened the call up with, I've been doing this I've been in sales for 16 years and, basically your baseball stats. Like no one's confused. I don't think on this call of like, is he good at sales, right? But it's not about being good at sales in, 2008, right, Wes? Like it's about being good in sales today, right? Now, that being said, over, that many years, 15 plus years, I'm sure there were times where you didn't want to be consistent, or maybe you weren't consistent, or maybe it was difficult to be consistent. Speak to us a little bit about because, and I'm going to share this before I actually ask the question. Trey had said to me one day, I had said, I really haven't been consistent there. And he said, Marisa, I'm going to tell you this. And he said, everyone's consistent doing something. And I was like, And he's like, you can be like anyone. You could be consistently, whatever. You fill in the blank. You could be consistently eating Cheetos every night, or you could be consistently, eating your lean cuisine. Lean
You
cuisine.
don't bother. You just
But at the same time, you're consistently doing something all the time. So everyone's consistent at something. Now it's about being consistent at the things that are going to get you to where you're trying to go. And I love how you're saying like you're like Wes, what I hear you saying is your goals aren't specifically like, I want to make $8 million next year. You're like, that would be cool or whatever. However, I want to build good relationships around me and be in a healthy place. And by default, typically, that those funds come, Wes. Is that fair to say? Like the money
Uh,
comes.
yes,
I,
absolutely.
and so, like, talk to us a little bit about the times maybe that you didn't want to stay consistent, or maybe if you can think of a time that you didn't stay consistent, that you would, that essentially you wanted to, that you had to revert that, right? It was uncomfortable. Like, maybe you didn't stay consistent with your sales for X amount of time and this happened. Whether it's a good story and different or it's a positive story, share us something about consistency that you've personally kind of experienced and saw it play out for yourself.
So I can tell you the thing that's mattered the most to me. So, I think that there's a lot of parallels to parenting and to building and building a team here in our industry. So I'll tell you, the most consistency really hit me when my daughter was born 7 years ago, and that's where I became consistent and mental and physical well-being. You know what I mean? And surrounding myself with good people. Before that, it didn't matter if I had a sleazeball as a friend. You know what I mean? Because it didn't matter. But then after she was born, I really had to get all those out. And then to fast forward, this year I had a good friend of mine, John Whitley, who ended up coming on board. And as soon as he did, I know that he gave up a consulting corporate consulting job where he'd be making six figures to do this full time. I had an offer made to me by a coworker, by a colleague or friend, to do a remote position, making about six figures. And I turned that down because I wanted to stay focused on this. And with that moral responsibility that I had to John, and then now all of our other teammates, which is, I mean, and it's like that's what's helped me to be consistent was being, leading from the front, you know. Um,
I love
and
that because you shaped it to parenting too, right? Like I'm not a parent, Wes, but I can imagine that if I had a child tomorrow, a lot of my habits would change fast. And that's just because I wouldn't want them to be exposed to certain things, right?
yeah,
And
yes.
you said I had good people. I had some people around me that weren't necessarily like the best of people. Now, guys, like I think that I'll raise my hand. I had people around me too. And guys, it's gonna come different stages in your life, whether it's like, hey, I just can't have this part, they're really negative, or like the things that they're doing just aren't, positive things, or what I want to expose myself to, or whatever it might be. But it's like check your surrounding, check your environment. Now, with that consistency, obviously it seems like things have really kind of aligned for you and you're working with the person you wanted to be working with, Trey, and you're working in a great company, right? FFL with a great system and great support. You talked to us a little bit about 100K in one day. You guys did 300K in 10 days. Now, that doesn't just like happen. Is that fair to say, Wes? Like it doesn't just like you don't just like wake up and it just like happens, right?
Yeah, nobody called me to buy that. I had to go out there. I had to sell it. Yeah, call on prospects and yes.
Right, like you had to put some work behind that. Now, talk to us a little bit about that experience and kind of how that played out. Talk to us a little bit about that those 10 days.
So that's one thing that a lot of agents don't recognize, especially brand new ones in the industry, because they're kind of short-sighted and they see it as like, okay, I'm going to make a commission. Well, the truth of the matter is one of the reasons I got in this business is because every time we make a sale, we are going to earn income off of that for the life of the business, right? And so that's really unique. But even more importantly, so like when I first got in the business, two things. I want to share some techniques with you guys tonight on the call too that have really helped me. But one thing when I was a brand new agent is I lived about an hour from territory. So I recorded my sales script, my just going through reading it, and recorded it, and I'd listen to it for that hour on the way to territory, and I'd listen to it on the way back from territory for 30 days. Okay. Um, so I did that, and then I'm sorry, Marisa, I'm distracted from your question. What was your question?
No, that's okay because I actually like where you're going with this. You talk but I had asked you about about the
Oh
10
yeah,
days.
right.
But let's
Uh-huh.
finish this thought though, because this is important because I feel like a lot of folks don't do this with telesales because they're not driving in their territory west, right? So
Right.
like what would you recommend or kind of implement there instead?
So the last thing that people hear or think about before they fall asleep is what they dream about. So I also not only did I listen to my sales script on the way home, but I would read it in my bed as I'm falling asleep. Because what that's going to do is it's going to build your confidence in communicating with these prospects. Um, and then two, like both living in your values, which I've hit home a little bit, talking about working with Trey and finding him. But just remaining in your values is very important too. Because I'll tell you, I've got an agent. She is getting ready to have her first week in the business after taking the test and all this stuff. But she was a client that I met my first year in the business. Actually, I hope I'm sure she wouldn't mind, but she's now a retired state police. She actually pulled me over the first year in the business. Yeah, we ended up building a relationship. She bought insurance from me. Now, fast forward 15 years later, she's coming on in as an agent. What that's a testament to is it's a testament to treating people respectfully, living in your values. You know what I mean? And like what I would tell people, just as an example of values and remaining in your values, is if a client asks me something, I would say, well, this is what I think. But what I'll do is I'll find out for sure. I'll do a little bit of research and get back to you. So I would never lie to somebody. And what that does is it allows you to solidify these relationships. I also encourage agents to schedule between 6 months to a year after a client signs up, schedule policy reviews. Because what you're going to do as an agent is you're obviously good, you're charismatic, you're good at relating to people and communicating with people, but you're going to find out of those clients who you really mesh well with, right? Who you connect well with. And what you can do is lean into those relationships. Not only you can sell them more business, but you can get referrals. And I like what Sean said on the call earlier today. Referrals are a great source of business, but he likes it as an ancillary. And I love that because for building purposes, we focus on our leads, we focus on the system of funneling new prospects to us, and then we can add referrals on the ancillary on the outside of that. And I'll tell you all, if you could ever call on a referral, it's the most fun thing in the world. It's like, let's say I called your sister. Hey, Christina, this is Wes Rains. Yeah, Marisa spoke very highly of you. Man, do you pay your sister? She spoke so highly of you, and it's just, you get them laughing. And then it's a warm referral and it opens up and it's a warm relationship. And then you can say, yeah, you know what? She just recently signed up for something. She spoke really highly of you, wanted me to make sure to give you some information on it too. Is now a good time, or would it be better to schedule a time to visit with you? Now it's good. Okay, great. Yeah, we'll grab a seat and I can walk you through this. But calling on referrals is great. Not only that, but some of these clients, they might be a director at a big business or a small business, whatever. And all that does is open up your possibility for more prospects. So I have read so many books on sales and success and everything. So anything I know, I just give credit to all these authors and, great salespeople like you, Marisa, that I've been around. But I'll tell you, Jeffrey Gitomer said, and I think it's in his Bible on sales or something, but he said, the way that you increase your production in sales is very simple. Increase the frequency in which you're in front of qualified prospects. Okay. So be in front of qualified prospects more, not just prospects, right? But qualified prospects. And what's the easiest way to do that? Get referrals from your existing clients. Okay. So that being said, yeah, does all that make sense? So just strengthen these relationships. We're in a relationship business. There's two prongs to our business. One, it's problem solving, and two, relationships. We're in the problem solving business and we're building relationships. And that's why I love this industry, is because you don't have to be the guru on policy knowledge or terminology for insurance. But if you're good at building relationships, this is the industry for you, because that's what we do. Every year, trillions of dollars is spent on advertising and insurance. Luckily, we don't have to spend that. You know what I mean? All these big companies are doing that. So now all we have to do is connect with people, find out what it is, the need they're trying to fill, and then provide them with a product or service, and we can do that.
Absolutely. And it's like that's the confidence that we all essentially need, is like, hey, like we don't need to be everything to everybody, right? Like we have so many people around us, and like that's the best thing, or one of the best things in my opinion, about Family First Life. You don't have to be, like you said, the policy guru, the IUL, the annuity guru, but you could have one of them right in your back pocket, right? And like that's a relationship. I love how you talk about the state police officer pulled you. I don't love that you got pulled over, but that being said, it's like, 15 years later, here we are, right? Because you built that relationship. And guys, that really is what this is all about, is relationships, whether it's on the recruiting side or it's on the essentially client helping side. Those relationships are going to grow, or they're going to, dwindle, and we get to choose that piece, especially with the clients. I love how you talked about like lean into the relationships. If you know that somebody's a director at, ABC company, it doesn't mean treat them any differently through the process, but it does mean that they might have more referrals for you at the end. or that their whole company might be looking for some type of policy that you might be able to offer, right? So like, don't be scared to ask, right? Lean in and lean in confidently, right? Like Wes, do you ask everybody for referrals that you talk to?
I try to, yeah, but to be honest with you, I'm human. Like I've got more
Right.
flaws than most people. You know what I mean? Like I'm just me, and yeah. So I do have very much, yeah. And all I do when I ask them is I say, "Listen, Marisa, this clearly made a lot of sense to you. It seemed like something that's a good fit for you, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
Well, tell me,
definitely.
who do you know that you care about that would benefit from getting some more information on this?" And then I just shut up and I wait. You know?
Right. And they'll give you a couple people, or sometimes maybe they don't, right? Is that fair to say too?
Yeah, yeah.
But
Um,
but it's like to your point, right? Like you're like, I'm not perfect, right? It's kind of what I heard you just say, Wes, right? So it's like
yeah.
if three people don't give you referrals, guys, don't be like, oh my God, I can't get them. Like, no, it was three people. Like just chill, just keep asking, right? Like that's what it's about is the consistency part in all areas. And again, no one's perfect to Wes's point. Like no one, no matter how much they proclaim to be. But talk to us a little bit about kind of what you're doing right now, Wes. Kind of what has Wes winning in the industry?
So I'll tell you one of the things that I learned my first year in the business. So I used to go in and I'd make a spot on presentation, whether it be an hour, hour and a half, and I wouldn't get the sale. And what I'd do is I'd come back out of the car and be so angry, right? And then I'd turn inward. I'd implode on myself. I'd start thinking about what I did wrong and all this. But my mindset shifted. And instead, what I did was I realized I objectified it, right? So if I made a presentation and they didn't buy, what I would do is I would sit there and I'd reflect afterwards. So this is what I'd recommend to everybody. If you do a presentation or you go through a sales call and you don't close a deal, I would give yourself three positive things that you did. Would write them down, right? What are three things that I did really well, right? Well, maybe I approached them well. Oh, I overcame this objection well. I built rapport well, whatever it is you did. And then walk through the exact conversation that took place and say, okay, if this, and this is said again, what would I say next time that would help me get to the next stage in the process of closing the deal? And just wait and think about it. Sometimes these will come up right away, sometimes they won't, but you have all the answers that you need. Okay. And it's interesting too, because that being said, it's circling back to the same thing I've said so many times, but Trey and I both, we always keep the positive momentum going forward, right? So we focus on the positives instead of the negatives. So that's what I would encourage each of you to do too, is instead of focusing and complaining, like what are things that we want to complain about or the negatives on things, instead focus your energy on the positives. What's the takeaway? Because I'll tell you, God in the universe only gives you these problems because it's something that needs to change, right? So if you've got a problem that keeps occurring in your life, right, then there's something that you need to do, some way that you can grow and you can, move forward stronger and better from that. And that's why that quote that I mentioned earlier from Napoleon Hill, like it's true. In every failure or setback, there's something that's going to make me stronger, that's going to make me wiser, that's going to make me move ahead with greater value, because there's something I can take from that in a positive manner, you know. Um, yeah, I've got so much stuff to share with you guys. I'm really grateful. So I'll tell you another thing, like Napoleon Hill says in Outwitting the Devil. So two books that I live by. One is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, and the other is As a Man Thinketh. Those are the two books that I live by. And Napoleon Hill says in Outwitting the Devil, he says, teach, I've actually got it right here. Teach children the true nature of the golden rule. And above all, show them that through the operation of this principle, everything they do to and for another, they do also to and for themselves. And it's the same thing Zig Ziglar said, which is, if you want to get something, then help others get what they want. You know what I mean? And it's so true that when we are service minded for other people, it really bodes well for us long term. You know, um, some other things that I'm doing, the goal card, and I think Jesse could probably share that for you guys in the chat. But I love the goal card because what it does is like it helps people to crystallize their day, to break down their day into bite-sized pieces, right? So the goal card it breaks our day down into 6 goal periods. And so that's what I coach my agents that I work with to do. And I use it myself. So it's about 2.5 hour increments of time. What that does is it helps us to focus our energy, right? Because like we're all our own business. We're all our own bosses, right? So it's like we can very much rationalize and say, oh, I'll do that later. I'll do that later. No, if we're focused in a 2.5 hour increment period of time, it's a lot better to build momentum and to focus in that time period. And then it's like, okay, after that's done, then we'll go on to the next goal period. And then you also get points for your work activity. For me, that's very helpful because I think that, too many times we sit down with somebody, maybe we need to pay a bill or we want to make a commission, then they can sense that commission breath, right? But if we're focused on pursuit of excellence, and every time I approach somebody, I want to get better, right? Every time I present to somebody, I want to get better at presenting. And then every time I close, I want to get better at closing. Then those are things that, can help us. Also, one thing that's been very, very helpful for me throughout my career is breaking down big goals, because I've always been able to accomplish big goals and people can't get that, right? They don't understand it. Well, it's because I break them down into bite-sized pieces. And the reason I keep saying that is, have y'all ever heard, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time, right? So what I'll do, and I'm not good at mental math, it's not my superpower. So I'll take $40,000 in a month, right? So let's take this and break it down into bite-sized pieces. So what I'll do is I'll divide 40,000 by 12. So that'll tell me my monthly premium that I need to sell to achieve that AP, the 40,000. And then I'll divide that by days that I'm going to work in the month. So let's just say there's 25 working days in the month. Okay. Then 3,033, which is the monthly premium needed to hit 40,000, divided by 25 days, that's 133 monthly premium. Now, you ask a group of agents how many can sell 40,000 in a month. Not a lot will raise their hands, right? But ask that same group of people how many can sell 133 monthly premium a day. Everybody's going to raise their hand. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's a lot more achievable, a lot more doable. And the great news is that once you understand how to break down goals into this, like bite-sized piece, it's limitless. There's no stopping. And that's why I love this business, is because even though I did 100,000 in a day, I love this business because I want to figure out how to do 150,000, 200,000 in a day. You know what I mean? If I sell a million in a day, guess what? These trillion-dollar companies are going to pay me accordingly. I love that. That's why, yeah,
That's
that's
right.
why I love this business. Well, that's right. 1 million, Rami. Yes.
That's right.
Does
And
that make sense? I threw a lot at you.
that makes a lot of sense. And I want to go quickly, just take a quick step back, guys. You had hit on, like you said, when you used to walk out of like a home, like prior to virtual, if you will, you kind of like would beat yourself inwards. You'd be like, oh, like maybe like I stink or whatever self-talk you were doing, right? And you said, now I realize like basically that wasn't working, right, guys? Like nothing, like if you just start telling yourself how awful you are, all like that's never gonna work. Just like so we're all on the same page for anybody. It's just almost next to impossible. Now, if you come off of an appointment that you don't close and you're like, okay, well, what are three things I did good at? And you like take this time, like you're not talking to nobody. And it's funny that you said this, Wes, because earlier I came across this random video I downloaded like a long time ago from Brian Tracy. And he says if you're having an issue and you go into a room, full silence, no music, no nothing, just full silence by yourself, almost any problem, you're going to be able to figure it out because it's in you. Just like to your point, like it's in you. Guys, it's the same thing. You might be like, well, I didn't close. You can sit there and be mad, or you can sit there and be like, well, what are three things I did good in there? Like, what were three things I did good on the phone? Well, they knew who I was. They didn't second guess my credibility. I asked good questions like who, what, when, where, why questions. And I made sure that the wife was there with the husband because I usually one leg my appointments. Okay. Those are three things you did good. Feel good about them, right? And then what would I say next time that situation arises? And being able to sit with yourself and go through that, but then hit it off a mentor, right? If you're brand new, don't get me wrong. But it's like that's huge because you're building yourself up. Maybe your first appointment of the day, you did terrible at building credibility. You one-legged the appointment and you didn't ask any questions. You just showed them some prices. It's like you had a complete, like 180 from that morning. That's something to be proud of or something to not beat yourself up about. But then asking, okay, well, when we got to the end, this happened, or in the middle, this happened, and I didn't close. What would I say next time? Instead of, wow, I'm so awful, A, B, C, let me tell myself about myself, which is never good, okay? Only tell yourself positive things. And then also you said I focus my energy on the positives. Now, Wes, this was like a legit life changer for me. Like when I actually realized and internalized, like, what does this actually mean? Right? It sounds really straightforward, guys, but it's like when you can actually like something negative actually happens in your life that actually like matters. I don't mean like Susie Q hung up on you and you're upset. I mean, okay, sure, we can use that too. If that's the biggest problem in your life, you're blessed. But that being said, when you can focus on the positive things, like I'm so grateful that I was able to wake up today, get a workout in, and now I'm able to be at my house on the phone talking to people, and I'm going to be able to help them soon. Or I'm grateful I woke up today. Every morning when I wake up, Wes, I say thank you. The first thing I do is I thank God for waking up because everyone did not wake up today, guys. That's the reality of it, right? And if you can focus your energy on the positive things, by default, it's going to minimize the negative things. And when you could become a master in minimization of the negative things, your whole life changes. It's very hard to be bothered when you're in that stage, when you really realize what that means. So I love that you say, like, you focus your energy on all the positive things. You're not sitting there talking about things that are negative or what could have been or should have been or whatever. You're just moving on in a positive direction. I also love how you said the goal card. I love the goal card. Y'all know I love the goal card.
Mhm.
Now, the goal card, it does. It puts it into bite-sized pieces. 2.5 hours of like I'm paying attention, I am locked in, I am doing my job, I am building up this momentum. That is powerful, guys. Now, 2.5 hours of sitting in front of the computer and being like, should I call Billy or John first? Right? Like that's not productive. That is not on the goal card, right? And when you're able to do that, guys, just to Wes's point, everything is always a pursuit of excellence, a pursuit of getting better, a pursuit of what's next, a pursuit of how can I help, right? You're always just going to be in a place of getting better and leading, guiding, and directing people, hopefully, to do that for themselves too. And I love how you talk about setbacks, Wes. Like, we're all going to have different setbacks in life. Small, big, large, indifferent, medium, whatever they are. We're going to have setbacks, but it's about how we overcame that setback. Like the Sean Mike book, Punch Me in the Face. Like, he's like, we're all going to get punched in the face. How many times can you get back up? And guys, it's not like anyone's wishing bad on you, but life is life. Life is gonna life, as I would say. Meaning things are gonna come up, things are gonna happen. We're not always gonna love them, but it's can we overcome them and move forward in a positive direction? How many times can we get back up? And every single time, like that you get back up, don't take that lightly. Just be like good for me. I got back up. Because not everybody does. Like, let's be real clear on that. And then breaking down goals into bite-sized pieces. Wes, I think that this is like the key to how to not be really overwhelmed, right? I love how you broke it down to like, okay, the 133 a day, right? If we sit here and say, how many people, right? Like it's a harder goal. But if we say, how many people do we think can go ahead and help a family and collect $133 in premium every day, every working day of the month? You now learned when you can do that, you've literally changed your entire life because you can now backtrack pretty much any goal in this business. Whether it's a recruiting goal, it's a personal production goal, you start to understand and you're not focused on, like, the big goal is there, but you're focused on every bite, right? Like every bite, just what's the next bite? Small pieces, small wins are going to eventually equate to a big win. So I love that, Wes, and I love how you just like how just honest you are about everything. It really makes to be honest, it really makes guys, if you're watching this training, like listen, go back on it because not everybody can just speak this much from their heart. So thank you, Wes. And then just kind of wrapping up, I think one of the biggest things that we all struggle with, I'm not even going to say new agents, or I think we all can struggle with at different times in our lives, whatever, is confidence. Wes, what are some of the things that maybe, you've experienced or you've done to build up your confidence or to, not take things so harshly or like talk to us a little bit about that over the years, how that's kind of maybe evolved for you.
That's a great question, and I really appreciate you asking it. And after I answer this question, I do want to give y'all two little plugs for technique and sales. I've got those to end the call with. So I'll tell you one thing that's really helped me in my confidence because I grew up in I had broken confidence early on in my life, so it was a struggle for me. Um, and I'll tell you, Tom Dempsey, the chief distributing officer for Integrity, he said the opposite of depression is purpose. Napoleon Hill talks in his book Think and Grow Rich and also Outwitting the Devil that a definiteness, a definite purpose that's the key, right? So like if anybody's read Outwitting the Devil, there's drifters, and that's the people that allow their minds to wander, right? And that's how you fall into the devil's hand is allowing your mind to drift. So that's something that's allowed me. It's just living every day with purpose, and living in my values. And so I've taken, just I'm obsessed with mental and physical wellness, financial wellness, all these things. And to be honest with you, I focus in Outwitting the Devil. He talks about the law of hypnotic rhythm, which is this continuing to surround yourself with positive, good people, putting yourself in good, healthy environments, and essentially all of it comes to fruition. And that's what I've done is just been committed to surrounding myself with good people, living a healthy life, because the truth of the matter is how we treat ourselves, the way we treat ourselves when nobody's looking, it radiates in the rest of the world. So what we eat, eating healthy, reading, it's like Tony Robbins says in one of his books, but nobody's going to allow somebody to put rat poison in their coffee, right? So why do we allow the equivalent to be put into our minds, right? Being around negative people, being around toxic people that are just trying to bring us down, right? Well, if we surround ourselves with good people, people that want to uplift us, and that's all I want to do. To be honest with you guys, and I probably should have said this at the beginning, but like I'm in this for me. I want to succeed myself, but guess what? It's really beneficial to everybody around me because I've figured it out. The way for me to get what I want is to help everybody around me succeed. So I'm going to sell as much insurance as possible, and everybody around me is going to really, really reap the rewards of all that focus. So the confidence has come from living a life of integrity with character and treating yourself like Napoleon Hill says, but treating others the way I want to be treated. But I recognize that that's good for me in the long term, because if we cut corners now, if we run that stop sign now, like it's going to catch up with us. You know what I mean? Um, and can I give those two techniques now? Is that okay,
Yeah,
Marisa? Good. Did I
absolutely.
answer
Yeah.
your question?
You did
Um,
answer my question. Living a life of purpose, guys. And whatever that means to you, that's how your confidence is going to build, no doubt. Now, hit us with these because I know that they're going to be fire.
Yeah, so the first one is feel, felt, found. Okay. Let's say, Marisa, you gave me an objection. I'd be like, Marisa, I really understand how you feel. I know Christina felt the same way until she found out that actually with this, and then whatever you want to say, you just take it, run with it there. So it's feel, felt, found. Somebody gives you an objection, you say, I definitely understand how you feel. So and so felt the same way until they found out and then just unload it. And you don't know how many times I've been able to turn around a sale because just the same as people out there who aren't doing what you do and they're just throwing negative energy at you, trying to distract you and get you off track. Same is true with these leads or these prospects. They're just throwing stuff at you. It's like throwing pasta against the wall, just seeing if something will stick. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with those objections. They're just throwing stuff at you, and they just want to see if you can stay on your purpose, go through with confidence, and bring them to the point of making a decision. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for somebody to guide them. But feel,
That's
felt, found is a dynamite one. And then I think Trey would be angry at me if I didn't share this one with you guys. It's called the price breakdown. So what I'd like to do, I work a lot of veteran leads. I love veterans. They're just a good group of people. So I'll tell you, let's say Stan is the veteran's name, and let's say Stan is 75 years old. Stan, I'll tell you, one thing I want to make sure you understand about this coverage is it's got day one coverage. What that means is, God forbid, Stan, but if you've got wild plans this weekend, keep them because you're going to be covered. Okay. So once all my veterans figure out that it's got day one coverage, they think for $30,000, oh man, I'm 70, right? 75. You're in your 70s. They think, okay, this premium is definitely going to be over $1,000. In fact, Roger earlier was thinking 1,200. But the good news is it's not 1,200, $30,000, not even 1,100. Get this, Stan. It's not even 950 bucks. $30,000 coverage. It's actually only 399. That's not bad, is it? For something like that?
no.
That's what they always say. That's right. Yeah, good guess. They always say, no, that's not bad at all. Exactly. Now, do you see why everybody's been getting this? Yes,
Yeah.
I do. Good. Okay. And then go through your process of the application or wherever you're at. Yeah. The price breakdown. That's it.
I love that. I love that. That's huge because it's almost just it's you're just you're building it up to anticipate it almost like it's going to be really high and then it's boom. It's like price breakdown per the name, Wes. That's fire. All right, and
Yeah.
then the feel felt found. I'm with you there, Wes. So, like, let's just say I'm gonna give you a quick example, just so people can kind of hear like what that sounds like. We get all the way to the end, and I tell you I want to, cover my final arrangements because I don't want to leave the burden on my daughter, and I have no life insurance. And I'm like, well, you know what, Wes? I think I want to think about it for a couple of days, kick it around.
I understand how you feel. I know Christina felt the same way until she found out that this comes with day one coverage. And the good news is, one of the reasons I like the business so much, and I'm leery to maybe not say this because I don't want people to use this last part inappropriately and then it could come with bad persistency. But I like the 30-day free look period. That's what I would say in that answer if that was you. Is, one of the things I love about this industry is it's got a 30-day free look period because I work with a lot of educators, first responders, and veterans. And the good news is that this we're just going to see if you can get qualified because I want you to make an educated decision. So after you get qualified, they'll actually mail you a policy, and then you'll have 30 days to make sure it's a good fit for you. The reason I like that is because you can increase the coverage, decrease the coverage, or even send it back untaken at no cost to you. Yep.
Got it.
Does that
Right.
sound good to
But
you?
that sounds perfect. Now we move forward with you. So to Wes's point, I hear you. Yeah, definitely. We don't want to be doing that a whole lot but the feel felt found, guys, insert objection, feel felt found. It's a beautiful thing. It's actually one of the first things I learned coming into sales. So I'm really happy you brought it up tonight, Wes, because I'm like, damn, that's a blast from the past, but it works so well. And once you start to work it and you know how to say it essentially, like they're gonna realize like if you're actually just need a commission or if you actually care about who they are, what they're doing, and protecting their loved ones and their family. And that's usually where that feel felt found comes into play. And most folks would rock with Wes there and they wouldn't probably cancel the policy because they're like, he actually cares. He's not just like, well, like we don't care, Tina. It's $87 a month. You know what? It's like feel. I understand how you feel. We had a couple other members that felt the same way. What we found is boom, right? It's like it can be a beautiful thing if you utilize it as a beautiful thing. And I love that price breakdown. I'm going to be listening back to this call just to be able to kind of reframe that for myself. So, Wes, I appreciate you immensely. Thank you so much for being on this call. It was jam-packed with value, and thank you for your time. You're amazing.
Thanks for hosting, Marisa. You're awesome. Hey, I'll give one last plug. I know we're over time, but I'll
Go
tell
for it.
you one thing that has really done well for me is if you guys are hearing a constant objection often, what I would use, because a good rule of thumb is for the first person to the objection wins, right? So you or the client, first one to the objection wins. So if you're hearing a repeat objection over and over, like, so when I started in the business was 2008, and that was during the recession. So I kept hearing from everybody, I don't have any money. Oh, it's too much, too expensive. So what I did was I incorporated that into my presentation. So I said, one thing that everybody, I think one of the reasons we've had record amount of people signing up is because money is so tight right now with the recession. And people have said, if money's tight now, it's going to be even worse if one of us gets sick. So, I ended up having this guy, fast forward, I had this guy, he got a $50,000 benefit at the time. That was the maximum coverage I could offer. And walking me out to my car, I asked him, his wife was in school to become a social worker. He was a construction worker, which if any of you remember that time, the recession hit construction workers the hardest, home builders. So I asked him, I said, if you don't mind me asking, man, your wife's not bringing any income in. You're out of work. Why in the world did you guys sign up for this? And he said to me, he said, well, it's like you said, if money's tight now, it's going to be even worse if one of us gets sick. I'm like, oh, that's a good point. And that's what I told him. But I used the objections that I was getting often to my advantage. Does that make sense? And the same thing is true, circling back to that favorite quote about in every adversity or setback lies in an equal or greater opportunity for success. So once your brain switches and not just not complaining and focus on the positive, but you can learn that these problems are actually just steps for you to accomplish your goals. That's when it's lights out. Nothing can stop you. You know what I mean?
No doubt. No doubt. And I love that. That's awesome. Like if you are getting a repeat objection, incorporate it into your presentation, find a way to just drop it in there. And that's great advice, Wes. Mic drop there. I appreciate your time and you being on with me today. You're amazing.
Thanks
Thank you,
for letting
Wes.
me run long. Yeah, y'all have a great night.
You too. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.